Good morning. Welcome back out to my garden again. We're going to have a mid to late January garden tour, update some things that have been growing and some things that have been moved or pulled out. First thing you may notice in this bed before we even fully enter the garden is I have pulled out most of the broccoli plants that were in this bed. And a couple days ago I sprinkled in some seeds for lettuce and what was the other one? Oh, kale and collard greens. So nothing's popping up yet, but there's seeds back there. I've trimmed a bunch of the leaves on this Romanesco cauliflower because it was all the way out in the walkway and I kind of need to walk here, so it's not looking super great and it's not producing a head yet, but it's getting close and it's just going to be there and we'll see what happens. This is the last broccoli plant that I still have in this bed, and it made a little tiny broccoli head that's ready to go. You can tell broccoli's ready to go when it starts turning yellow like that. It means the flowers are about to try to open up. So I need to harvest that one in the next couple days. This is the other Romanesco cauliflower. I've taken some of the lower leaves of it, but that plant is very tall. It's every bit of probably 5 feet tall and still not really producing a head in there at all. But it is what it is. It'll happen when it happens, and if it doesn't happen, then at least I tried, huh? These are the Alaska nasturtiums that are looking good. I think they're liking having a little more sunshine now that the broccolis are all gone. But no flowers on those ones yet. On the other side of the path, all of these nasturtiums, these are some of the vining or trailing type, and they're vining all the way up some of my things that I had set up for my sweet peas. But I've had a few flowers off of these. They're mostly hiding inside. But we discovered that one of our bearded dragons really likes to eat the nasturtium flowers. I'm gonna get this one. So pretty much as soon as we see a flower, we take it inside and he eats it very enthusiastically. The other one doesn't like the flowers so much, but he'll eat the leaves, and he really likes the kale and collards that we're growing for him, so that's good. These sweet peas have still not produced any flower and don't look like they're even close to producing any flowers yet, but we'll see what happens. The only flowers we can see in there are my two little Gerber daisies that are still hanging in there. Over here where we used to have the big sunflower, the big Mexican sunflower patch, is a bunch of wildflowers. And it looks like right here we might be having a volunteer sunflower. And then over on this side I put some nasturtiums in. And on this side there's one or two. Under those baskets at the back, I had put in some giant kohlrabi seeds, so we'll see if anything comes of that. I put the seeds in and I pretty much set it and forget it and let the flower bed do what it's gonna do. Back over here, we have my herbs that I need to figure out what I'm gonna do with, but for now, they're fine. And then this is the Jerusalem artichoke pot, but there's nothing growing in it right now. They're dormant under there because it's cold, I think. Hopefully they grow back, but if they don't, then I'll figure out something else to put in there. Right here, all of our chaos planted carrots, radishes, and whatever else I had thrown in there. I think some of these are kohlrabi. But they're all looking really good, other than the fact that they're way too close together. Oh, there's a lettuce. There's a lettuce. But if you know me at all, you know I'm not going to thin that. I'm just going to let it go and see what happens. On this side are some of my carrots that were growing way back when there were green beans in here. But you can see at the bottom they're actually forming carrots. So that's cool. We like that. And then these volunteer onions are still looking great. They're getting thicker at the bottom. I don't see them bulbing up, but they're getting bigger, so still cool. Under here are the rutabagas, and you can see some of them are getting some roots on them. Right there. And right there at the bottom of the plants. I pulled one out that was really small because I wanted to make sure I actually liked them before I finished growing them. And I don't hate them, so they're edible. Down here's my one little romaine lettuce. It's looking good. I've taken some of the outer leaves off in the past, but I'm waiting for it to form a nice dense head so I can harvest that. Behind that Romanesco cauliflower, I am letting this one go to flower, and it's really tall. This was my sprouting broccoli, but the sprouts all came out like tiny, so they're prettier as flowers. So that'll be covered in lots and lots of yellow flowers in a few weeks. I love that. I'm gonna jump back and forth here as I walk down this walkway. These are my purple kohlrabi, and it doesn't look like any of them are forming bulbs yet, but the stems are getting kind of thicker at the bottom, so they're close, I think. We may get down to freezing this weekend, so I might have to pull the blankets back out again, but my brassicas are doing well. They're getting really big and shading out my banana pepper a little bit. Luckily, the banana pepper gets most of its sun from this side, so not too bad. But we had harvested all of these a couple weeks ago, and it's putting on a lot more fruit and a lot more flowers. Underneath there is the shishito that just has tons of flowers. And the peppers still are not getting very big before they turn red. So I don't know what's up with that plant. I think I want to try to save that one and have it go into a second year, and maybe it'll produce bigger in the second year. I don't know. Right here there used to be a Brussels sprout and a broccoli. The broccoli had produced its head and its side shoots, so I removed it. And the Brussels sprout was super bug riddled, so I got it out of here. And I had planted these underneath it a while ago, and I sprinkled some more lettuce seeds in this spot, so hopefully we can get some more lettuce. Back there's another Brussels sprout that looks like it might be getting little bulbs at the base of the leaves, but I'm not holding my breath for anything fantastic out of that. Brussels sprouts don't do super great here. And then these other three plants are more Romanesco cauliflower that, again, aren't really doing anything, but we're leaving them in. Things grow slower when it's cold outside. These two pots we harvested potatoes from last week, and I said I wasn't going to plant anything in them, but I did put in some lettuce and collard green seeds in those just to see what happens. This garlic is getting massive. This isn't even the elephant garlic. This is just Italian something or other. It gets pretty big. I like it. We'll come back over on this side behind my flowering, sprouting broccoli. My pea trellis is great. I'm able to come out here and get a snack every day pretty much. We'll let these get a little bigger because the flat ones, when they get bigger, get sweeter. See, there's a big one that's almost ready. I was standing on the other side of the plant and I could see several that were getting close. So tonight or tomorrow I'm going to have a good snack. I love peas. I plant them for garden snacks. I don't even plant them so I can bring them in the house. These plants are starting to get some powdery mildew on them, which I don't like. That's kind of gross and terrible, but it is the life cycle of a plant. They don't live forever. Something's got to take them out. I did plant some new seeds in here. It doesn't look like any of them have sprouted yet, but I planted some purple peas along that part of the trellis. So maybe by the time those are growing up, these ones will be ready to go out. And then my cilantro is limping along. Cilantro will give you 2 or 3 good harvests from it, and I've harvested this 3 times, so whatever's coming back is kind of puny. I mean, it's still good. I could still take it and eat it, but I have some inside already. I might let it go to seed. Cilantro flowers are actually one of the prettier flowers that I've ever seen, so totally happy to have cilantro flowers. This over here is our little mystery volunteer bucket, and I have realized it is calendula, I think. If you know different, correct me. And then this random little pepper. And then over here is our volunteer basil. You rub the leaves and smell it. It smells so good. I'm pretty sure it's blue spice or potentially cinnamon basil, just based on what the smell is. I did plant like 5 varieties of basil in the spring last year, so it could be almost anything. Down here, our lettuce is looking good. Last time it was looking pretty bug-eaten, but this time I could almost harvest that and eat it. There's a little bug on it, but that's okay. That's why we wash our food. Several months ago, I put in pole beans along the bottom of this because I had nothing else to plant there, so it was my experiment to see if we could get some beans, because if we have mild weather or warmer weather like we have been, then it will produce. And thankfully we've had that warm weather, because it is producing little baby beans all over the place. These are a purple potted pole bean, so the flowers are these beautiful purple, and then the beans are also purple. And when you cook them, they'll turn green, but on the vine they're purple, and it's just so pretty. And those go all the way to the top, and they meet with the peas in the middle. I love it. I love a full trellis. It's so pretty. And on the back side of that, we have 4 volunteer tomatoes that are loving life and doing their thing. This one's got some blossoms on it. It's funny because in the house right now, I'm starting seeds for tomatoes, and out here they're just growing on their own. But we're leaving those. I might actually transplant some into a pot. But the variety that I had growing here in the spring last year was San Marzano, so I think that's what those are. Over here in the onion bed, this broccoli is getting its little head, and this one's not. But the onions are all looking decent. Nobody's bulbing yet, but they're all getting a little bit thicker. If you remember, or if you go back to see the video, when I planted these, they were like thin blades of grass. So they're all pencil thick or thicker now. And there's a weed right there. You can see between some of them, there's carrots growing, because someone else that I watch on YouTube does carrots with her onions, and they do well. So I thought I'd try. And then on the end of the onion bed, the snapdragons are looking fantastic. This color over here, that's kind of that pinky orange, that's my favorite one. Get a close up. I love it. Very pretty. Over in this bed, there's mostly broccolis, and we got some little heads coming on. Over here, in the middle of all the broccolis, this volunteer tomato came up, and we let it grow, put a cage around it, and it has a few different clusters of blossoms on it. But this one got some damage in that last cold night. Didn't think we really got a frost, but a few of the leaves got crunchy. So we leave the damage on, because if it gets cold again, that damage will protect the plant. What's weird is I did cover it, so anywhere that was touching the cover basically got burned, and anywhere that didn't is still fine. So I might not even worry about covering if we're going to get somewhat cold. I think Saturday or Sunday this week we're supposed to get down to like 35 for a low, which typically I would cover for, but I don't think I'm going to cover this time. Not this plant anyway. Behind that tomato plant, there's a bunch of brassicas. Some of the broccolis are putting on little heads, even though they're still very small plants. So we'll get a little harvest out of that, maybe a meal's worth. I think I see a head on almost all of them. This big plant is a Romanesco cauliflower that also, like the others, doesn't seem to be putting on a head yet, but the leaves that are closing in the middle is where the head will start forming. And then same with this one. There's leaves folding around in the middle, but nothing, no heads visible yet. But that's okay. They can take their time, do their thing. Underneath all that, I put in some lettuces. But I don't know how great they're going to do because they aren't getting tons of sun. All right, over here, this has changed. Oh, I didn't point it out over here. I want to point out over here that the green stalk used to be here, but I had to move it when I harvested the potatoes in that bed. And then I'm just letting that bed be because there were worm eggs in there. So I'm going to let that be a little worm, I don't know, nursery. But I ended up putting that 4th tier on top of the pink one like I had originally planned on doing. So now this is 4 tiers. And the lettuce are doing well. And it's got carrots in this tier. And kohlrabi in that one that aren't really doing much. And then lettuce at the bottom. And then anywhere, ooh, these ones look real good. Anywhere that wasn't growing seeds that I had planted, I put in peas. And the peas are putting on some blooms. So we might get a few peas from these little plants. I know a lot of people love their green stalks. I don't know that I am really sold on them for Arizona growing. It's kind of difficult. The other green stalk, I set up and leveled a spot right here. And then I started stacking it. And then by the 3rd tier, I could tell it wasn't level anymore. So I put 2 there and 2 there. And it is what it is. They'll grow if they're going to grow. And if they're not, then they're not. But I put this one on the spinner. And then that one is just sedentary. The beets aren't quite doing their thing yet. But the turnips, there was a bigger one in this pocket. And I pulled it out. So this is the 2nd one that's still small. And then there's big ones in that pocket. And that pocket. So I'm happy with those. And then this onion, I think, is the only one of my onions anywhere that is actually starting to bulb up. So maybe in the future, green stalks will be for onions. I don't know. This bed is some more of the later planted kohlrabi, and it's doing better than the ones in the green stalk, but still growing slow. And there's that spinach. I could probably start harvesting some of it, but I'm not going to yet. But here's the thing I was most excited about in the whole wide world. I came out here one day and noticed a few sprouts, and I jumped up and down with happiness. If you'll remember, we planted 70 tulip bulbs in this bed. And it looks like, I haven't counted, but very good germination rates on that. And even that one right there, along that backside, we had planted the ones that were rotten, or looked rotten. And that one is one of the biggest ones out here. So, pretty flowers to come. We love that. There's those snapdragons from the other side, just because they're pretty. Back here behind those 2 Romanescos, this is a Brussels sprout. And like the other one, you can see little tiny things happening, but nothing great. But it's not getting eaten by bugs, and it's not hurting anybody, so we're leaving it and seeing what happens. Brussels sprouts is on my list of things I probably will not try again. Just because they take so long and they take up so much space for such a small yield. It's just not really worth it to me. My bell peppers, putting on some new peppers. And they're looking good. This is the Yellow Wonder. Got a broken branch. That's okay. There are lots of peppers on here. It's growing up here. It's got 5 or 6 on that branch. Some more down below. A couple more down there. Love it. This is great. And my little shishito over here that doesn't get enough sun. And the little blot that also probably doesn't get enough sun. Here is my purple cayenne. That is mostly been harvested and strung up in my kitchen. My dad came in yesterday and he said, "What are you sowing?" And I said, "Cayenne peppers." So maybe we'll go inside and see what that looks like when we look at the started seeds. But yeah, this is a, goodness, do you have a label? No, I think this one's a jalapeno. This is an Anaheim pepper. It's putting on lots of blooms and lots of peppers. I hope we can get at least one more good harvest of Anaheim peppers. But I will definitely be moving that plant with me when I need to. And these are jalapenos. And they're starting to put on some good sized peppers. These are one of the ones that changes colors to like an orange or a yellow. I believe it's orange spice. But they don't get very big. So even like this big is pretty impressive for this variety. This plant is a Craig's Grande, and they're supposed to get a little bit bigger. So that's on the smaller side, but still halfway decent. We're getting some good new babies. This is another plant that had gotten damaged when it didn't quite freeze, but some of the ends got crispy. And just overall, it doesn't look super happy. For the spring, I plan on cutting it down probably to about here. Maybe a little taller, 2.5 feet tall. And then transplanting it into a bucket, because we're not going to be in this garden for the spring, I don't think. But this is one of the ones that I think I want to bring with me, and the Craig's Grande for sure. And on this side, there's the poblano that we'll see better from the other side. And there's a smaller jalapeno in there. I think it's a lemon spice, but it grows a little weird because it's in the shade and kind of just had to reach out for the sunshine it could get. Crunchy leaves. This is the lantana and asparagus, which I have been saying for months that I'm going to cut back, and still haven't done it. It's actually really starting to die back now, so it would be a good time to cut it back. I'll see if I get the energy or time this week or weekend. These are our Arctic Rose dwarf tomatoes. And the one back there that's little doesn't get enough sun and isn't really producing, but this one has 4 tomatoes that I've counted, and maybe some hiding. I haven't really checked super deep, but these are getting a good size for a dwarf tomato. This one got a little bit of damage too in the leaves, but nothing too bad. It's putting on more blossoms. We'll see if we get more tomatoes. Let's see if there's any on this side. Oh, there's one. I also see some caterpillar poop. So something's been eating the leaves, but it is what it is. This is what cilantro looks like when it's going to go to flower. The leaves get a little stringier. It looks kind of like a carrot top. So that'll be cool to have some cilantro flowers in here. And then we'll have those tomatoes whenever they're ready. If it were springtime and I saw caterpillar poop, I'd be out here at night with a black light to try to catch whatever's eating my plant. There are a lot of blossoms on here that did not come to fruit. But this time of year, I'm happy to get what I can, and I'm not super concerned about this plant. Over here, our box of tomatoes have started to die back a little bit. And they used to be filling up the box completely, but they've fallen down. They have some disease-looking stuff on these front leaves. And that's just the nature of the plant. They're supposed to die back, and then you harvest them. So we're probably at least a month away from harvesting that box. But I'm really excited to see the results of that, because this will be our first from planting to harvest completely on video, so that's exciting. We planted other things, but the potatoes are going to be ready before like the onions and garlic. On this tier, this is what we do. The bearded dragon loves these. Grab them by the back and just pick them off. And he will absolutely devour those in seconds. It's hilarious to watch him. On the back side of that pepper bed, that's the jalapenos we were just looking at. And this is the Craig's Grande. Really, really big plant. Doesn't look like a bunch of peppers on this side though. This is another Craig's Grande that was started later, so it's a smaller plant, but it is growing well, and it is putting on lots of little peppers. Lots of peppers on that one. Looks good. This is a Hungarian heart tomato that's still hanging in there. It got a little bit of damage from the cold again, but nothing terrible. And we will let it do its thing just like everything else. And this is the other side of the poblano that we saw from over there. It's got a few peppers. There's a few poblanos on here. And a few blossoms on there too. That is not a plant that I'm going to be taking with me when we move. I keep saying when we move. We're hoping to be out of here within the next, I don't know, 6 weeks. But we realistically have 3 or 4 more months if we really need it. And I will keep you all posted on any progress made in that front. Look at this little guy. This little puny pepper plant, this jalapeno, has been limping along since I planted it because it's over here in the shade. And it's got a little jalapeno on it. That's so cute. Down here there's a couple of kohlrabi. That one's super shaded, so it's not even noticeable. This one's doing somewhat okay. Over on this side, these are my Anaheim pepper plants that are doing well. We had a good harvest a couple weeks ago because it got cold, and there's a good amount of peppers and blooms coming on again, just like all the other plants. When we have a mild winter, the pepper plants love it, so they are doing very well out here. And my heart goes out to all those on the East Coast or in the central United States right now that are going to be getting that super cold front. I'll be praying from you from the sunshine over here. So those ones are Anaheim. There's 2 plants there. These are the Big Jim, which I've come to terms with. I didn't like them very much a couple months ago, but they do make a good seasoning when you dehydrate them. So I'm back on the I somewhat like these guys train, but there are a lot of peppers on here. How can you be mad at something when it's so prolific? Yeah, that was gross. A couple of them got damaged. I feel like a lot of the stuff that I covered actually got more damaged in the freeze than anything that I didn't. I think I said that already. These ones have a little bit of freeze damage, nothing terrible. But the peppers that are on there are looking great. If you watched my harvest before freeze video, you'll know I took a whole bunch of the nadapinos. And they're growing back. These ones are my favorite. I have literally a tray of 15 notapino plants right now in the house. And hopefully I can find space for at least half of them in my next garden. But I love my notapino. It's just this one long spindly stick that I tied up on the post. But it's doing great. This guy is a blot, I believe. This is my little section where I didn't label very well. If you've seen any of my other garden tours, you'll know that. But there's a blot and a Jaworski and something else in there. But none of them have been super prolific because they are a smaller variety of plant, so they got shaded out by some of these big guys. Like this big guy. This is Pippin's Golden Honey. The Pippin's peppers are very sweet. Oops, I just broke something. They ripen to this bright orange color. And they taste really good, but they're so little and so thin. I've been dehydrating these and making a sweet pepper powder, and they're actually super good in that. So looks like I'm going to have a few more out here in the next week or 2 to come harvest. Make another batch of that pepper powder. And after that, I might cut the plant out and see if I can get those guys back there to do anything really. That pot's my ginger. I don't have much to say about that. I should harvest it soon. I stopped watering it so the soil would be dry. So I'll probably harvest that this weekend or something. Here's the rest of the garlic. This is actually the elephant garlic. And I think that the garlic in the other 2 pots are at least as thick, if not thicker, than the elephant garlic. So I love that. And over here you can get a better view of the Romanesco cauliflower that's not doing anything. And that pepper, the banana pepper there. And back here I had put in some climbing beans, and then all of these big old brassica plants. The kohlrabi and the rutabaga have shaded them out a little, so they're not really climbing their trellis, they're just kind of sprawled on the ground, but I'm okay with that. I try to redirect them a little bit, and when they get some sunshine they will grow, but that's, it is what it is. But that's just how they're going to have to grow, because these guys still need to get a little bit bigger. You can see some of those bulbs better from back here. Those are the rutabaga. I want them to get big. And this is the back side of that big clump. You can see some good lettuce growing in here. I'm going to have to go back and look at my notes and see what I actually sprinkled in there, because I don't think I should have put kohlrabi. But if those are radish, that's a different story. Anyways, we're back to the other side of the garden now. Take a quick look up at the citrus. We're going to have oranges soon. And then I didn't really talk about it, but that tree over there at the back has almost ready also. They are all orange, but they need a little more time to get sweet. But yeah, there's the garden tour today. So before I go back inside, I have some of my tomato starts out here because it's warm enough. And I didn't really have any more room in there. And then look how big my artichoke is getting. There's probably 10 or 12 artichoke plants in that little clump because they will split from the root ball. So they will be very big and glorious, and then they'll die back in the summer. We'll cut them back, and then they start growing back again in about September. And they multiply. But look how big and beautiful it is. I love it. And then also a quick look at everything in here. I had to buy some new lights for the tomatoes because I ran out of space. I had potted up some of the tomatoes into their cups. I didn't do that on video because it was over the course of several days and I had people over some of the time, so I just got it done. But these are the ones that we did together. And then these are some of the peppers that are going to need to be separated soon. And there's some dahlias that I did on my own. And some more tomatoes. And some more peppers. And then this pepper tray that I did do, that's all Nata Pino. And over on this side, all of these guys are in their cups. These are all tomatoes. I have a few different types of lights that I use, and I don't really have a super preference for any of them. They just need to make the plants grow. And then across the front, we have strung up cayenne peppers that need to dry. And then more strung up cayenne peppers that are mostly dry. And those have a fan on them. So that's my crazy seed starting corner. And I'm actually going to have to move a second shelf over in here, so it's going to get crazier. But there's my garden update for the week. I hope you come back for the next time. Bye.